improve your mood with a supplement? Is it possible? Well, I'm going to be sharing some pretty interesting findings from a study that I stumbled upon that shows that you can actually improve your mood. And my interest in this personally is how do I optimize my performance as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, as someone that is trying to grow something that is effective in this world at generating not only results for people, but also income. And so I'm going to screen share and show you this study that is titled Impact of Supplementation and Nutritional Interventions on Pathogenic Processes of Mood Disorders. Now, you might be saying, well, I don't have a mood disorder, but just because you don't have a diagnosed mood disorder doesn't mean that some of this information can't drastically improve your overall performance. So we're going to just kind of work down through here, and I'm going to point out the stuff that I found really interesting. And I've pretty much tried all these things for myself and have found good benefits. I've seen good benefits for others. So this was really interesting to me. Now, the major focus of this study was major depressive disorder, MDD. But again, this is not really a video about how to improve MDD. And you know, I'm not a doctor. This is educational, informational, entertainment purposes only. So please don't start taking anything without consulting your doctor first. But let's go ahead and dive in and look at a few different things. I'm going to skip some of this stuff because I want to get down to the actual compounds themselves. One of the ones I found pretty normal here is vitamin B12 and folate, and I want to take it a step further than is mentioned in this test because just taking vitamin B12 and folate is not necessarily always good for you, believe it or not. There's different forms of B12 and different forms of folate. You want to make sure, in my strong opinion, that you're getting a methylated version of those nutrients. So methylcobalamin for your B12 instead of cyanocobalamin, and then also for folate, you want to get the methylated version. And the reasoning for this is because a large amount of the population has a what's called MTHFR genetic mutation where they can't actually convert vitamin B12 appropriately or folic acid appropriately that's been placed in food. A lot of times, like, you know, certain breads, your wheat products are enhanced or, basically filled with these synthetic forms of the vitamins, the B12 and the folate. So folate's the natural version. Folic acid is what they put in it in order to, get converted into folate. But you need these because it's going to help your body to be able to not only improve mood and energy levels, but it has a really strong effect in your body through the process of methylation, which I'm not going to go too deep into here, but just know vitamin B12 and folate, very important. Of course, you can supplement with those using a pill. Obviously, there's good foods. Again, that's not what this video is about. So I'm sticking to the actual supplements or the, nutrients, so to speak. So do your own research there. But those are two really important ones, especially if you have an MTHFR genetic mutation, which, again, it's fairly common. You can go to a lab and get tested for that, like any lab test now or a facility that does blood testing. And just got that done myself, and I'm waiting on the results. I have a high suspicion of why, and that's because my homocysteine levels in my blood work are not necessarily high clinically, but based on various studies, published journal studies, it's a little bit higher than what I think it should be for optimal health. And so I'm looking to optimize my homocysteine level because I think I can probably avoid a lot of bad things by doing so. So vitamin B12 and folate help with homocysteine levels. And again, I recommend the methylated versions. And then I'm also doing not only the supplement form, but also occasionally getting methylated B12, so methylcobalamin injections. So we see here, it just goes a little bit further into folate deficiencies can cause depressive symptoms. Again, it's attached directly to homocysteine. So I just think this is a super interesting connection between methylation and folate, B12. It all seems to have effect on mood and ultimately performance. And here it's showing the methylation cycle, like I mentioned earlier. So again, not going to go too deep into methylation right now. But just note here, SAMe, which this study is going to talk about here in just a little bit. SAMe is a really good supplement that I think is awesome for mood. So anyhow, let's keep going down a little bit till we get to the next one. And I will mention real quick, this study, they don't go too deep into inositol, but they do talk about it briefly somewhere inside of here. I'm not going to touch on it too much, but just in way of passing, I want to mention that inositol is awesome. There you go. Useful for calming effects. It's useful for GAD, generalized anxiety disorder, maybe used in depression. Numerous metabolic effects may be used to improve or reduce depressive symptoms. Inositol is great for if you've got like brooding thoughts, you just stuck in your own head. It helps a whole lot with obsessive thoughts. So just another great one there. And we're going to skip down though a little bit because I want to get down into some of the other supplements. Oh, I went too far. Let's go back up. I went down to the bottom. So we've got up here, yeah, there we go. SAMe. But there's one other before SAMe, I believe. Double check. Yeah. Okay. Here we go. So talking about homocysteine here, and they go more into B12 and folate, methylation, B vitamin deficiency. So a lot of the stuff that we've already talked about. So I'm gonna skip over that. You don't want to take homocysteine. You want to reduce homocysteine. SAMe is fantastic, except if you've got bipolar, it can induce mania in depressed patients. So, that's one thing to watch out for. But otherwise, it's fantastic. It's generated from the L-methionine in the 1-carbon cycle, which is dependent upon sufficient levels of folate and vitamin B12. So it's recommended usually to take SAMe and your methylated B vitamins together because those are all going to work together to help you have the best methylation cycle. Now, in terms of like recommended dosage for SAMe, they say SAMe may be taken orally up to 1,600 milligrams a day. Now, I will say that I've seen people get like really fantastic results from 400, and they feel like if they take 800 or more, it kind of negates some of the positive effects. Now, your mileage may vary, but again, you kind of have to figure it out. You got to play with it and figure out what the right dosage is for you if you decide to take that supplement. But more is not always better. But it's generally well tolerated, favorable safety profile, and the onset of acts, like the how quickly you can feel SAMe taking effect, could be a week or two, which is pretty cool. Next one I'm a big fan of is the L-carnitine, and you'll see that they call it LAC, L-acetylcarnitine. You'll also see this called, usually in like the nootropic community, you'll see it called Alcar. So they'll say acetyl L-carnitine instead of L-acetylcarnitine. So if you decide to start this, you're going to see it called different things out there. But LAC, Alcar, it's the same thing. And this one is really good for a few things. It's really good at, for one, actually improving the, just like sort of healing your dopamine receptors. And I won't get too deep into that because you've got different types of dopamine receptors, but just know that it's good for that. And dopamine, typically, when you think of dopamine, you're thinking motivation and reward. And so this is a good thing. It's neuroprotective, anti-inflammatory, antioxidant properties that may also improve depressive symptoms. They saw that it rapidly in animal models improved depressive-like behavior, restored glutamate levels, and then so on and so forth, different things that we're not going to get too deep in, but it's really, really good. So another awesome thing to supplement with. I've seen people recommend anywhere from 500 to 1,500, sometimes even more milligrams a day. But again, you got to watch out because your mileage may vary. I've seen that, if I take too much at once, it messes with my stomach a little bit. And there are some people out there that think that you really should be injecting it because they think that it can kind of mess with your gut bacteria. So I may experiment with that more in the future, but that's a hotly debated topic from what I've seen. So again, not going to go too deep into that. I think generally speaking, acetyl L-carnitine is great for you, and you probably should be taking it. Alpha lipoic acid is another great one. Alpha lipoic acid, I've just started taking. I've started learning more about it. I don't honestly know a whole lot about it at this point in my life because it's a new one to me, but I've learned enough to know that it's really good for you. significantly reduces cytokine-induced inflammation by decreasing production of IL-6, so on and so forth. Again, I'm not going to get too deep into this, but it's going to help with inflammation. It's going to help with, I've even seen it. It's supposed to be really good for ADHD. So it's been investigated for therapy for MDD. So that's your depressive disorder that we were talking about. Let's see here. There was, ALA and LIC have been studied in MDD in light of the role in modulating mitochondrial function, metabolism, and neuroprotective effects, but they've gotten inconsistent results. So, there's that. But together, LIC and LA have been shown to reduce the number of damaged neuronal mitochondria and increase intact hippocampal mitochondria, thereby improving brain function. So again, Alcar and ALA together give kind of like neural, mitochondrial and hippocampal benefits. So brain function. These are good for brain function, which I like for, again, if I'm undergoing a lot of stress because I'm trying to build a business and, doing negotiations, deals, and all this other stuff. I really want my brain to recover as good as it possibly can and protect my brain and be in a state at which I can function top notch. Next one that I think is super interesting is NAC, N-acetylcysteine, which is really fantastic for a few things. It's actually been used in some addiction studies, and I'm not going to go too deep into that, but I will say I have noticed that NAC greatly blunts things like caffeine's effects, the stimulatory effects. It's been reported that it can also almost negate amphetamines like Adderall. And I know somebody that they are on Adderall. They took NAC and they're like, I can't even feel the Adderall when I'm on it. And some of the belief around that is that it's sort of just stabilizing the mood. It's almost centering you more. And so, people that do want the stimulants, caffeine, their Adderall, their amphetamine, nicotine as well. I've seen myself that it can almost like totally negate nicotine stimulatory effects. It's best to take this away from when you take those things. So typically you're not taking an amphetamine at 10 o'clock at night, so you probably want to take this late in the day. But it's really, really good with all sorts of mental disorders. It's really good for you. It exerts antidepressant effects. It also can improve depressive symptoms and functionality compared with placebo. However, they say it didn't improve quality of life. And I attribute that to, just because you take a pill and it improves some things doesn't mean that it improves your quality of life. You need to be doing certain things. You need to be learning and have a plan on how to improve your life situation. If you don't, even though you might improve certain functionality, you might not actually get a better quality of life. So that makes sense to me. Let's see. It also, and I don't know if they talk about it in this particular article, but another thing that I like about NAC is that it can increase your glutathione, which is the most powerful antioxidant that you've got in your body. And that can help with detox. It can help with just your overall health in general. So NAC is great. I just, I don't like taking a whole lot, and I like taking it late at night because otherwise I've noticed it doesn't allow me to get the full effect of other things like caffeine or nicotine, etc. So NAC, though, super big fan. It also helps with that methylation cycle. So again, if you're an MTHFR variant type person, NAC can be really helpful for you supporting your potentially compromised methylation cycle. L-tryptophan, I'm kind of mixed on this one. I think it can be good for sleep. I actually like 5-HTP better personally, which, they're kind of in the same metabolic pathway, and I'm not going to get too deep into that. But, yeah, it works. It's kind of cool how some of these amino acids can create good effects. So, whether or not you should take tryptophan, to me, it's not necessarily a performance molecule. It's more so for, chilling out, and it can obviously, it can impact serotonin synthesis and mood. So, if you're going to take it, maybe you use it as a sleep assist type thing. But again, I just like 5-HT better. Personally, I think it has a quicker onset and it helps me get to sleep really nicely. A few other things here. Zinc. Zinc can help a whole lot. So if you're low in zinc, you're not taking enough zinc, you might want to take that. My favorite form of this is actually I get the Doctor's Best, and I'm not associated with them in any way, but Doctor's Best, I think it's called Pepsin. It's, if I remember correctly, a zinc attached to a carnosine molecule. And the cool thing about that zinc is you can take it on an empty stomach and it does not bother your stomach. I'm very sensitive to zinc in its most widely produced forms, and it makes me really nauseous. So zinc's good for the mood stuff, obviously good for even things like your testosterone production, so you can bet your bottom dollar that it can probably help you with your productivity. Magnesium also really good for you. Antidepressant action of magnesium has been reported in both animal and human studies. It improved depression significantly, improved anxiety scores, etc. So yeah, take your magnesium. Vitamin D, good for, let's see, plays a critical role in a number of physiological processes: muscle function, regulating cell growth, cancer prevention, metabolic signaling, inflammation, autoimmunity. It's integral in a number of brain processes: this is a big one, neuroimmunomodulation, neuroplasticity, neuroprotection, and brain development. And so they think, okay, cool, it's got some sort of link to depressive disorders. So vitamin D, I think there's enough evidence out there now that you should be making sure that your vitamin D levels are optimal. A lot of times I see people supplementing with 5 to 10,000 international units per day. They say the tolerable upper limit is 2,000 a day. However, up to doses up to 4,000 IU have been shown to carry low risk of hypercalcemia. And so, and again, I've seen various people suggesting different things here. I just have found that if I try to take 10,000 IU about 5 times throughout the week, that seems to do pretty well. My levels stay sort of at the top upper range of optimal. So next one, omega-3 fatty acids. Tons of health benefits here. Tons of health benefits. It's another one that's like, you probably should be taking fish oil. You should take a good one. I am a big fan of buying these in a store, like a store that it's on the shelf. Anytime I buy from Amazon, it doesn't matter which brand it is, every time it gives me fish burps. Even the best brands give me fish burps. And so I'm a big fan of buying local, because I think they probably store it in a less intense environment than what you're going to get from Amazon. And so I'm always like, if I'm out, I'm going to a local store. And for me, I had to shop a few different stores before I found like 2 that seemed pretty consistently to not give me fish burps. There was a particular local pharmacy that I would buy from, and that brand, though awesome, it's actually the same brand I bought from a different functional doctor store. There's a functional doctor, and they have a supplement store inside. Gave me fish burps from the pharmacy, but not from the functional medicine doctor store. So again, you just got to find who actually treats their omega-3s the best, because you shouldn't take it. I mean, it's not worth it if it's rancid and it's giving you fish burps. It can actually hurt you. So it's better. It's essential because you can hurt yourself otherwise, to get it from a place that's treating it good and it's not giving you fish burps. Helps a lot with depressive symptoms. Helps with, correlated with increase in the pro-inflammatory cytokines. And so they found that the omega-3 PUFAs were also found to be lower in patients with depressive symptoms compared with non-depressed individuals. MDD patients who had high levels of inflammation experienced greater improvement with EPA than placebo or DHA. So EPA is, DHA has good stuff about it, but a lot of times in these sort of instances, the recommendation is EPA. So I just like personally taking one that has like a balanced, about the same amount of both EPA and DHEA. And I personally try to get a total of 4 grams a day. If I eat salmon or something, I might not take my fish oil that day, but I try to stay pretty consistent with trying to get at least 4 grams of fish oil a day. Coenzyme Q10 protects cells from reactive oxygen and nitrogen species by regenerating oxidized tocopherol and acerbate and also enhances mitochondrial activity in the brain. So it's good for your brain. Good for energy also. It's associated with reduced levels of CoQ10 in the body are associated with increased free radical damage, along with decreased mitochondrial energy production. So again, the mitochondria is going to be where your energy is being created. Like you need that. If you want energy, you got to have healthy mitochondria. And so a lot of these, as you've seen, a lot of these supplements are going to help you. A lot of these nutrients are going to help you with your mitochondria, keeping them happy and healthy so you have maximum amount of energy and brain power. Let's see. Patients with treatment-resistant depression were found to have significantly lower CoQ10 levels than those who were not treatment-resistant. And patients with bipolar supplementing with their psychotropic medications with CoQ10 resulted in significant decrease in the MADRS score from baseline after 4 weeks, with significant changes seen as early as 2 weeks. So again, fantastic thing to add to your supplement stack for a high functioning person. If you got to manage stress, you need to be at your top level. This is going to do it, but it's also going to be stuff that, I mean, all these things are also going to help you with longevity. If it's helping you with optimizing your brain and your brain performance, it makes sense also that it's going to help you with longevity. Just like I was talking about with homocysteine, like I'm trying to keep those levels low. A few here that I think could have been added to this study and that there's been done research on. One, again, for reducing homocysteine would be betaine. Betaine is fantastic for reducing your homocysteine levels. Again, that's more in line with the longevity, but of course, you just want that homocysteine to be low. So can it also impact your energy levels? I think I don't know of studies that say that it's absolutely sure, but I think that when we look at the mitochondria and the methylation cycle and all these things that somehow seem to be correlated one way or another, it makes sense that betaine is going to be good for longevity as well as just your overall performance. Another one that is also good for methylation and also brain performance, all that stuff that is, again, right in line with the study, is going to be creatine. I think creatine is fantastic and can help with even things like decision making. So should you take all these things? Should you take a few of them? I don't know. I recommend to people that they get labs done, and usually a comprehensive lab test that is going to go over a bunch of things like micronutrients, things like, their hormone levels, things like, just how's their liver doing, etc. All this stuff, which, again, somebody that's really knowledgeable about functional medicines, like a functional medicine doctor, can probably help you with that sort of stuff. But then you know what your baseline is, and you can measure improvements, and you can see what's working for you. So that's been what I've done, and that's been what I continue to do and try to continue to optimize for. So I hope this information has been helpful. Be sure to subscribe. Leave me a like if this was interesting info, and then let me know your thoughts in the comments. Are there any other supplements that you found to be helpful, or any of these that maybe you've tried and you've not found to be helpful? I'm curious to hear the community's interaction with these molecules and how they affect the body, etc. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.